I just put on Do Not Disturb to make sure there's no interruptions.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. That's what I do. You're like, it's not.
You've never made me proud during a video. I know, I've been there.
Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where we will be covering the next little batch of Legends of Kamigawa, because there are so many of them. So, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the Myojin. Now, the Myojin showed up in the Commander set, or not the Commander set, they came out with Commander cards that were in the packs, the collector boosters? Or
yeah, it's always been a weird thing, like how we discussed how the Curse enchantment chick from Innistrad showed up.
Yes, exactly. So, basically, we have these Myojin who would be terrible commanders since they wouldn't actually get their indestructible counter if cast from the hand. So let's just get right into it. First, we have the Myojin of Blooming Dawn. Real quick side note, all the other Myojin from before are either probably dead or they're irrelevant. We've definitely seen certain ones die. We don't know what happens. Maybe they're reincarnated like this. What we do know is the Myojin of Blooming Dawn is the new white Myojin, and basically embodies the force of hope and is a benevolent kami. It has never been seen up close and has only been glimpsed as a figure in the distance. And it leaves a trail of blooming flowers in its wake.
Okay.
Some of the oldest, most traditional poetic forms of Kamigawa are based on the chiming rhythm of its bells. That's everything we got. So based off of that, we can see it says some of the oldest, most traditional poems, meaning that this most likely, these Myojin existed at the same time as the other Myojin.
And the other Myojin just faded out, just like, can we come into power now? Cool.
Yeah, it's either that or it's just a spotlight on a different cycle of Myojin. There's not really any information on it. That said, we now have the Myojin of Cryptic Dreams. The Myojin of Cryptic Dreams is the blue Myojin. They embody the force of inspiration. Again, not often seen. This one only showing up in dreams, never actually going into the mortal realm. When it's there, it shows itself only as a reflection in a mirrored surface and whispers to people, planting ideas in their minds. Each reflection of the Myojin is supposed to be a unique mirror aspect of it, and that there are an infinite number of these mirror aspects. Each one is apparently an idea no one on the plane has ever thought before.
I like that.
So, as you can tell, these Myojin are very ethereal, very conceptual kind of thing.
Ones that are like, you're not going to become Black Ink Goku and kill us, nah.
Nice, interesting for you to mention that. Myojin of Grim Betrayal, the black Myojin. They embody the force of ambition. A warlord prayed to this kami in order to become the emperor of Kamigawa. This Myojin then answered the prayer, granting him unmatched battle prowess. It then chose to not mention it had answered that same prayer to basically every other warlord.
Oh,
yes.
That's awesome.
I want ultimate power. You got it. Let's see how this goes. And it's basically what caused what would become the Shattered States era, where everyone was trying to dunk on everyone else and become the most powerful.
I love this new black kami. It's actually Loki.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I also like
if Loki was in Kamigawa, he would definitely be black based on how we've seen the color interact in Kamigawa.
Yeah.
Like very ambitious, but also not very direct, very shadowy, it's Loki.
Yeah. Black-red. Like, you know, the other card that was literally Loki in another set. So, we now have the red Myojin, the Myojin of Roaring Blades. It is the force of unrest. It's kind of crazy. Basically, it has these blades, right? And they're made of molten lava. And when it hits with the blades, they explode into shards and plant themselves inside of people. And if they survive it, that mote of that flame will continue to burn forever. and will like fill them with a restlessness that will consume them day and night.
So don't upset this kami.
Yeah. The thing is, these people that are blessed by this kami not only are covered in chaos and constantly dissatisfied with their lives, they also are able to create things and change in a way that is basically unmatched by anyone else.
Have I met this kami and just haven't used my prowess?
Yeah, pretty much.
'Cause I've never been satisfied with my life.
You're like Hamilton. Anyways, the Myojin of Towering Might is the green one, and it embodies the force of evolution.
I packed that one today.
You did? Well, its appearances in the rest of the plane, other than the forest, are extremely rare. And if it does show up, it's because something really big is going to happen in the spirit realm in that area. And so the Order of Jukai was this whole thing where the Shigeki, that Orochi we mentioned beforehand, had visions of the spirit realm's deterioration. Mm-hmm. Well, it says that it was during that time when that order was created that the Myojin showed up. And they're saying that he is going to show up again. And nobody knows when, where, or why he is going to. They just have a feeling that the Myojin of Towering Might is going to show up.
Oh, no.
And I feel like maybe Mori had something to do with that whole deal.
Ooh.
Now, we'll talk about the Go-Shintai, which I feel like you weren't super excited for, Joe.
Tell me about the Go-Shintai, Ricky.
So the Go-Shintai are kind of cool. Each of the 6 Go-Shintai have a very specific little story behind them. It's a little paragraph. So the white one, which is the Go-Shintai of Shared Purpose, is a little rural farmland shrine, right? And so they built this little shrine and made little offerings because there was a river that was threatening to overflow and flood the town and basically ruin their crops. The little kami that shows up helps them to dig trenches and like teaches them like, here, dig trenches here and stuff like that. And when the water showed up, instead of destroying everything, the fields flourished. And because the fact that the entire town banded together, the kami really liked them and decided to take residence in the shrine.
So the creature part of it is a kami that just represents the shrine.
Yes, the kami that lives in the shrine is the 1/3 part of it.
Okay.
So the Go-Shintai itself is the shrine. And then the shared purpose is the kami. Then we have the Go-Shintai of Lost Wisdom. So this one is the blue one, and it's at Manamo Academy. Remember the academy, whole deal. Well, this student, she decides that she wants to learn a bunch of stuff, right?
Same.
And so she creates a little shrine for the kami of Lost Wisdom. And so the kami decides to share everything with this person. Everything, including how she's going to die.
Oh, no.
So the student who at this point has become a professor, she is just offended. And she's like, look, get rid of it. Take it away. Take away all of that. Everything I just thought of, everything you gave me, take it away. I don't want it. The kami's like, fine. Takes it back and then just stays in the shrine. And anyone that shows up,
you guys anyway.
Yeah, and anyone that shows up, it'll give them all the knowledge they could ever want. Including and then immediately take it away. Yeah, it's interesting.
Little kami.
Okay, Joe, the black Go-Shintai of hidden cruelty.
Same.
An ogre is evicted from her cave by a warlord. Okay?
Oh.
So the ogre had seen people, other members of her like group, summoning tiny little oni with their own little shrines, right? And so she's thinking, okay, well, if I can bring a kami here by creating a shrine, but she's not very good at it. So she winds up accidentally summoning a kami of hidden cruelty. And it begins to whisper angry, vengeful thoughts in the ogre's ear until she eventually gets up and murders the warlord.
Good for her.
She freaks out and runs away, but the kami stays in the shrine. and offers vengeance for anyone that's nearby. Then we have the Go-Shintai of Ancient Wars, the red one, of course. Hundreds of years ago, there's a bunch of Sokans and rebels, and they're under siege from an imperial regiment. And as their numbers and supplies dwindle, they build this tiny little shrine trying to get some spiritual reinforcements. Well, the Kami of Ancient Wars shows up and gives them a bunch of burning blades. And the Kami is literally cheering the whole time they die. They're just all dying until no one is left. And the Kami just stays on the mountaintop shrine, hoping to start another fight.
The Kami's pink. So what? It's still a rock star.
It's got his rock moves.
And doesn't need you.
Then we have the Go-Shintai of Boundless Vigor. So there's a monk. He's forced out of the Jukai forest because of the fact that Towashi continues to expand, right? So he tries to maintain the memory of his homeland and built a tiny little shrine around a seed from his garden. The seed, without any soil, grows and becomes the Kami of Boundless Vigor. Together, the Kami and the monk basically reclaim that section of the forest, and every tree that had been cut down grows back the next day.
That's awesome.
Before he dies, the monk moves the Kami shrine to his forest, and that's where it lives to the day, granting strength to anyone whose wild nature cannot be tamed by the city.
That's so cool.
Those are the 5 Go-Shintai you can find in the actual Kamigawa set. That said, there's still one more Kami meant to be seen, the Go-Shintai of Life's Origin, which is such a beautiful, beautiful card. And if I didn't already have a 5-color deck, I would make the Shrine deck just so I could use Go-Shintai of Life's Origin. Few have seen a Kami die, but it is possible. And when the Jukai forest was destroyed by Towashi, several of these Kami crumbled to dust because they were basically severed from wherever they could be. Well, the dust that they turned into settled on an ancient shrine in the heart of the forest and coalesced into a new thing. The shrine itself took on a life and Kami powers of its own. This is the Kami of Life's Origin. It now wanders throughout Kamigawa, growing stronger as it is joined by the remains of other deceased Kami. Which is why whenever another non-token shrine comes in, it creates a tiny little shrine token. It's amazing. I love it. It's so good.
That's cool.
And technically, I'm just gonna mention them. Technically, Satoru Umezawa does show up in the story, but there's nothing really talks about him. He's just a mob boss. All it says here is
Satoru Umezawa. Like, oh, you're oh wow, your ancestors are bad. So
basically his whole deal is that no one's actually entirely sure that he is a descendant of Toshiro Umezawa, and he might just use it for clout. That's really the only thing worth mentioning about.
So we don't even get confirmed if he is Toshiro's.
No, there's no confirmation at all.
So we don't know if Kiku continued the Umezawa bloodline there.
The thing is that that's the only way that he could feasibly be a descendant of Umezawa, is if he is specifically her kid. So other than that, that's all the legends that do not have stories. The commanders, they have theirs. Rizona, she's the leader of the rebels, so she has her own deal that shows up. So yeah, it's generally interesting, and we're gonna have so much fun talking about Kaito, and then I'll get to rant about how Kaito is not actually blue-black.
Sounds great. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna go ahead and catch you guys in the next video. Don't miss it. We're gonna have another Ricky rant like we did with Quain.
Oh my gosh, Quain! I hate Quain. He's red white.